and for those of you that are listening, maybe you've had a bad experience where it's like, well, I run a business and so is not like that with me. You can't focus on who's doing what. You got to worry about what you're doing anyway. And if you go out and you're putting out good vibes and you're not getting that reciprocated, it doesn't matter. Quite frankly, it's none of your business. Worry about your business. If you want to go out and cheerlead somebody else, then that you're just putting out those good karma, if you will. It'll come around. Those good vibes will come around back at you tenfold. Just keep doing what you're doing.
I have a very good military spouse business friend who I need to get her on the podcast. Her name is Julie Benson. Julie, if you're listening, hey girl, I'm about to talk about you. I was so bent out of shape about an issue like 2 years ago, and she happened to be around me when I was like trying to process this issue. And I mean, it got to the point where I was just like not enjoying my life because I was so stressed out about this one thing. And she looked at me and she's like, you need to mind your business. Like, stop worrying about all this other stuff. Worry about your business. And I mean, I swear I should like crochet it on the wall, because when I get hung up on things, I'm like, what am I doing to mind my business? Like, let me just mind my own business.
Right.
Figuratively and literally, like, just I need to mind my own business. And that can happen, especially as we're in a space that is so tightly knit that we can compare each other, you know?
None of that matters.
Right.
You know, if somebody could be talking about me or Lindsay or whatnot, and here's the thing.
Who's talking about us?
Yeah, so somebody, if they're talking lately, it seems like, but here's the thing. I don't get wrapped up in it. At first, like my initial reaction, like that, I won't say it, but I mean, it's like, wow, like, and then I get mad at myself. Like, why am I getting mad about it? It's none of my business what people think of me, because it has no direct effect on me whatsoever, unless I allow it. And I'm too seasoned to allow that kind of stuff to happen. Life's too short.
My business runs on apps. I could not run my business without having access to every single app that I'm going to mention. So the first one is really based around productivity. And a few of your listeners, I'm sure, have heard of this before. It's very familiar, but it is just the heart and soul of what I do, and that is Asana. Yeah. If you haven't used Asana before, it's a project management and task scheduling app. I really love it. There are a bunch of these. So Trello is another really popular one you can check out. Yeah. I love Asana just because of the interface. It feels very clean and organized to me. And as someone whose business kind of runs on a monthly schedule, I find that the ability to break it down month by month and to duplicate and repeat my to-do lists is critical. So if you have a business that runs on a monthly schedule, let's say you do the same things for one client every single month, Asana is so helpful for that. And I think the real gold in Asana or Trello or any of the project management tools really is being able to pseudo-automate your tasks. Yeah. And so what I mean by that is just, we try to automate everything, right? Like if I can assign it to an email workflow and let it take care of itself, I'm in. But some things a person has to physically do themselves and take action on. And so having something like Asana where it comes up and you've got this calendar and reminders being sent to your phone when it's time to complete that task is that your brain can forget about it. And so it's not just this lingering to-do item. Instead, it's something that you'll get a reminder about. You can attach files to your different to-do items, which is super handy. So you're not searching in Google Drive or on your computer. It just pops up, hey, it's time to do this task. If you have a VA, Asana is gold because you can assign a task to anyone on your team, but especially if it's a newer team member and let's say they're still learning what your SOP is for different tasks, what I find helpful is to actually attach your SOP directly to that task because people are so much more likely to use it if it's right there in front of them. So that's super fun for me. Also, Asana has really fun little features like when you complete a task, sometimes you'll get like a flying unicorn, that comes across your screen, and so it's good positive reinforcement.
In the beginning, you don't know. You're creating something from nothing. It's imaginary until you build it, and you don't know what process you need. You don't know the system. So for instance, when I do a lot of outreach, I'm asking for sponsorship, I'm asking for campaigns, things like that. I can't reinvent that wheel every time. And so now I have a lot of Google Docs to say, if this happens, then this is the document. So I can cut and paste and personalize. I have a system for when I receive podcast guests that I learned that also through coaching is a what to expect. A lot of times people have no idea what to expect with a podcast. They have no idea what to expect with financial coaching. They have no idea what to expect how it is to work with Lacey. So I have these documents that just go out and it reduces questions. So I'm not having as many emails. I use Airtable. I'm obsessed with Airtable. I use it for everything to manage all aspects of my business.
I don't do this. And I think that I'm going to I might message you, like sidebar message you after. And because when we onboard a client, we're doing it, it's a very relationship driven thing. So sometimes every client is different, first of all. And so what we need from one, but I have never done the here's what to expect document. And I love that.
Yes. You can edit this out if you don't want to, but I was doing so many emails. And so every time somebody asked me a new question that wasn't in my what to expect document, I would go and add it or fine tune that point because I'm like, I wasn't clear enough for them to understand it. A lot of times people don't know my personality or how it all works, what I want. And it also has all my links in it. So I'll send you my example later, but so now I do one email. When I do all the outreach and I say, I want you on my show. If you want to do it, here's all the information.
I love that.
Yes.
I love this. I'm not going to edit that out because I think people need to hear that. I don't have this for the agency, and we're 6 years old, and I should have something like this.
Oh, yes. And also too, when I work with big brands or even my editor for my podcast, who I love dearly, I gave him a what to expect document. So he knows how to handle Lacey Langford in good times and bad. The way I communicate, I'm very direct. I hate it when people beat around the bush. I don't take things personal. So I'd rather you just give it to me straight. I'd rather him tell me you look like an idiot than it go out to the world and you look like an idiot.
Yes.
And so I do that with a lot of relationships now. I send it to them when it's getting down to the final deal to be like, hey, this is what I'm about. If you're on board with that, that's cool. I just want you to know this going into it, because there are going to be bad times. And that way they know the best way to communicate with me is to pick up a phone and call me. Don't try to put in an email where you lose tone of voice.
True.
So very helpful.
Well, first of all, what does authenticity mean to you?
Authenticity to me is showing and being your true self without any concern or repercussion for what other people see that as. So it's being comfortable in knowing who you are and sharing that with people, regardless of how you think they may think about it.
You're not for everybody too,
yeah. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay.
All right. And tips to help people understand where that authenticity can lay.
So I think the biggest one for me is it's more about, you need to focus more on the message that you're giving people and how you want to help them, as opposed to how people are going to perceive you and your message. So if it comes from a place of genuine care and understanding and wanting to help people, and you take away how people are going to receive you, then the concern of not coming across as authentic goes away, because you're not worried about what people think of you. You're worried about how you're helping them. And so for me, that was a really big hurdle in just getting out there. As soon as I stopped worrying about what people would think and how they see me, it's how am I helping them? What is it that I can actually give to them? And when you take that layer away from it, information comes really quickly. You never run out of things to say to people because you're focusing on how you can help them and how you can change their lives, not what are they going to think of me when I say this to them.
That's so scary to walk into a room and not know anybody. And now you're trying to adapt to the environment. You're trying to be yourself, but you don't want to, how much of myself can I be? Everybody who listens and follows me knows that I love and I'm very obsessed with the Wu-Tang Clan. And so I have that in mugs and sayings all in my life. And it's a very, it's a 25-year-old hip hop group. And so when I'm out there, people are like, I can't believe that you like Wu-Tang. I'm like, I love Wu-Tang, and I'm very open with it. I'm also kind of saucy and spicy, in my life. So that kind of portrays out into my messaging. But I've also come across maybe I need to button that up a little bit for different environments, right? If I'm at a speaking event and, there's people that are 55 plus, maybe that's not the environment to talk about, my obsession with the Wu-Tang Clan, you know, because it doesn't relate. So I struggle with that as well, and just trying to understand, like, you know, how much of me can really come through. And I guess that's the advantage of being your own business. Like, you're your own boss.
Right. But I also think there's a difference between being relatable and trying to change who you are for people. And I think, you know, when you have a slightly different market that you're talking to, you want to be relatable to them. So you, like you say, you perhaps don't hone in so much on things that they're not going to connect with you on. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not being your true self. It just means that you're identifying with them in a different way. So I think relatability and authenticity are two different things, and you can do one without losing the other.
What I love about Raymond is when we have a lot of similarities, you and I. And what I love about him is when you meet him, it's just like meeting me. We're kind of introverted. We are viewers. We watch. We are, you know, kind of sitting in the back. We're not in the limelight. And I was like, that's kind of, you know, what I dig about him, because when he's on, you know, like when he's performing or when he's in video, he's got this red faux hawk. He's got his loud American flag leather jacket. He's an African American who speaks really pro veteran. I mean, he is just, and he's a Marine. And so he's just such a strong personality. But when you sit next to him, like we sat next to each other in like the coffee area, and we were just like, oh my God, I can't people right now. You know, like
we were chilling. Yeah. It honestly, we didn't even say that, but that's basically what it was. We didn't say that. That's crazy how you got the same vibe. Yeah. I was like, I'm chilling. Like I am kind of like, it's weird because like I am kind of introverted, but like when it's go time, like the button turns on. Yes. And I just want to clarify, that's not like being inauthentic or anything like that. No. It's just sometimes there's a tool for every like job. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be like loud and, you know, rambunctious all the time, or you don't have to be quiet all the time. Like there's a happy medium sometimes, and we're human. And that's the whole thing, that on social media, some people like to see that, oh man, hey, I'm just taking a break today, or like I wasn't on social media because like it's too much. Like sometimes I have to do family stuff, you know, and just let people know that, and just be honest and with your audience and honest with yourself. And another thing too, like I like the point that you said earlier, just one quick thing. You said you told somebody, hey, you know, somebody may be better for the job. There's also, I could do it, but somebody else could do a better job, so I'm not the one. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to get in. I can make my own shirts and t-shirts for my record label, but I don't want to do that because I need to focus on music more, right? So that's something that I'm talking about. That's the example that I'm talking about. I'll have somebody else do t-shirts because that's their dream, and then I'll just focus on the music, and then we could get, you know, twice as good product out of that because we're both focused on what we're actually good at. And then that takes away from all the fakeness and makes us more authentic because we're like living our truth and we're living our passion. And that's the most important thing. If you live your passion and you go for it, all the followers, all the influence, all the connections in the community, and all the smiles will come.
We want to talk about this quality over quantity concept. And I'd love to ask you, you know, what does that mean to you when it comes to your business?
When it comes to, gosh, I mean, that really does span all facets of life, the quality over content. It's definitely been a learning curve for me as well. I'm going into, I think it's about year 3 of running my business. Yeah. So that's a milestone, you know. I feel like so many don't even make that. But it's so easy to get so distracted at times and to try to be everywhere. And you watch somebody and you're like, oh, they're successful there. Okay, now I need to do that. Oh, and then I got to do this. And now I have to show up here. And it's just, you're spreading so thin. And then when you factor in life and responsibility and the military and all of that, when it's not quality really showing up consistently, you're just lost. There's so much noise online, and working remotely from home, you know, people are scrolling through feeds, and the shelf life of your content can be very quick, you know. So I have learned to not try to be at all of the places and really hone in to where my ideal client actually is and where I enjoy showing up, and then provide the quality consistently.
I like to talk about all of these things because, you know, when we start talking about like, why did you start podcasting? I've never heard anybody go, I aspired to be a podcaster.
Right.
You know, like that was my dream come true. But when I met Amanda and she was blogging and it was before you actually created the book. Like, I think you were in the process of doing that. And then of course, before the podcast, I will say, and there are a lot of people in our community that are also podcasters, layering in a podcast element opens other doors for your business. And so when we got on this right before I hit record, share with the listeners, if you can, what you shared with me about some of those opportunities that lately have come your way because of your presence out into, you know, something like podcasting.
I was contacted by a radio station in Missouri, and they want to start airing my podcast regularly on their radio station, which is super exciting and super, like, I still like, me? Are you sure? And so,
yes, they're sure.
So it was really exciting because it's like you said, there's so many opportunities that have like opened up this year. And I don't know if you know, but I was on Fox Business in November, and that was like, I pitched myself and then I didn't expect to hear anything back. And then I got picked up to be on the morning show, and it was just crazy, like all this stuff that happens, and just because the blog and the podcast and the book and all the hard work that I've been doing.
When you're standing next to somebody like Amanda, and I've had the honor of standing next to her at various you know, networking things that we've been at, conferences and stuff. She is very approachable. I'm talking about you like you're not here, but for the listeners, she's very approachable. I am not. I recognize that. I don't know why. I just have RBF. But Amanda, you are very approachable. And one of the things I really respect about you is your amount of this takes a tremendous amount of bravery to approach, you know, a major television station with your story. And many of our listeners may not feel they're at that level, or that, you know, people are interested in them. What's your take on that?
Well, my mentor was like, this is what you need to do. And I was like, okay. And so they had a form and I just filled it out and was like, check, now like my mentor won't bother me anymore. So I think having someone that holds you accountable, who like gives you goals where you're not ready, like I wasn't ready to be on Fox News, but then I put in my name and was like, good job. Never gonna hear from them. And then I did. And so, and I put my name into like CNN and all these other ones too, and I didn't hear anything. But the fact that like I just did it, and then you never know what's gonna happen, and like what's the worst thing that'll happen? They'll say no, like, or they don't respond. So it just takes a little bit of your time, and so I just try and look at it that way. So what's the worst that's gonna happen?